Finally, my brethren, be strong in the Lord and in the power of his might. Put on the whole armor of God, that ye may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. Wherefore, take unto you the whole armor of God, that ye may be able to withstand in the evil day, and having done all, to stand. Stand therefore, having your loins girt about with truth, and having on the breastplate of righteousness, and your feet shod with the preparation of the gospel of peace. Above all, taking the shield of faith, wherewith ye shall be able to quench all the fiery darts of the wicked. And take the helmet of salvation, and the sword of the Spirit, which is the word of God, praying always with all prayer and supplication in the Spirit, and watching thereunto with all perseverance and supplication for all saints, and for me, that utterance may be given unto me, that I may open my mouth boldly to make known the mystery of the gospel, for which I am an ambassador in bonds, that therein I may speak boldly as I ought to speak. Peace be to the brethren, and love with faith, from God the Father and the Lord Jesus Christ. Grace be with all them that love our Lord Jesus Christ in sincerity. Amen.
Will the circle be unbroken by my Lord, by and by? There's a better home awaiting in the sky, Lord, in the sky. I was standing by my window on a cold and cloudy day, when I saw the hearse come rolling for to carry my loved one away. Oh, will the circle be unbroken? My Lord, my. There's a better home waiting in the sky, Lord, in the sky. And I followed close behind her, try to hold on and be brave, but I could not hide my sorrow when they laid her in the grave. Will the circle be unbroken? My Lord, by and by. There's a better home awaiting in the sky, Lord, in the sky. Well, I followed close behind her, try to hold on and be brave, but I could not hide my sorrow when they laid her in the grave. Will the circle be unbroken? My Lord, by and by. There's a better home awaiting in the sky, Lord, in the sky. Sing it with me, Lisa. Will the circle be unbroken by my Lord, by and by? You can sing now. There's a better home awaiting in the sky, Lord, in the sky. Play that thing now, Rick.
Woo! Good morning, Crowd Chats. How'd you like that? So, for those of you who don't know, this is my brother. This is Rick. Say hi, Rick.
Hey, how you doing, folks? It's wonderful to be here in Florida with my sister, who was incidentally my birthday present.
Uh-huh.
She was born on the same day that I was. I was having a nice birthday party, and I got the news. I think I was playing football in the backyard at my party, and all the kids were there. And I got the news that I had a baby sister on my birthday on August 16th. 16 is a very powerful number in our family.
Actually means love. That's what it means.
So it was a wonderful, I think it was the best birthday present I ever got. And it keeps on growing. I mean, not, no, I didn't mean like growing.
Yeah, I grew. I definitely grew. So Rick is, he's a lot like, well, I'm a lot like him. Let's put it that way. We grew up in my house because of Ricky. We have music. We have music all the time. So let's just say good morning to the chat. Good morning, AF Soldier reporting for duty. He's like, I think there's a video in this. He was watching us moving tables and moving stuff, trying to get this all together. But I think it's going to be so much fun. Good morning, Lazarus James. Good morning. Brother John is here. Good morning. Good morning. Linda Jones is here. Riley Queen is here. Good morning, Mom. How are you? Faith Gal. Good morning. Good morning. Audrey is here. Good morning. Let's see who else is here. White Wing. Hey, White Wing. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. We're going to have some fun today. It's going to be a little bit of a fun Friday here on Crown Chats. Shelly is here. Good morning. Good morning. Let's see who else we have. Janae is here. Let's see who else we have. Let's see. We got some people in the house. Let's see. Robin's here. Good morning, Robin. Do you know that I do a morning song, Rick?
You do?
I do. I do a morning
sing it
song.
in Italian?
No, I don't. No, I don't do that.
She took Italian opera when she was little.
I did. I sang an Italian aria at a competition. I did do that. So I'm telling you, I want my.
And she danced.
I did.
I'm filling in all the blanks for you folks. You've been watching, her, and this is the time where you get real. And you figure out who is this woman who's been kind of entertaining us and giving us wisdom and giving us thoughts to think about. And the important thing is to know that she was just like everybody else.
That's right.
That she grew up and she liked cartoons. She liked to watch the Flintstones.
Wait. I like cartoons, Rick, right? Hold on. Ready? Watch.
Where's the kaboom? There was supposed to be an earth-shattering kaboom.
There you go. There's my car.
Things haven't changed.
Things have not changed.
I would get up in the morning and, hey, the whole thing is one of the things. Now, we've told this story before, but we're storytellers here, so we like to tell the same stories over and over again. And we're going to tell you the story that changed my life. Now, the cool thing is that I was a young kid trying to learn how to play the banjo. Now, remember, I don't know if you remember this, but when I wanted to learn how to play the banjo, because I had some musical failures in the past, my mother said no. And that's all you have to do is tell a kid no,
Ooh, that's a
and they
word.
will find a way.
That is a
And
word.
so, what kind of way does a young person have to access money? Lunch money. So I went on a hunger strike, and
You fasted. You fasted. You just didn't know that you were fasting
I
and
was
praying.
fasting for my banjo, and I had this book by folk singer Pete Seeger, and I didn't have the banjo, but I pretended my pillow was my banjo, and I would practice the different patterns on my pillow. And so that went on until I finally saw a banjo, and I was $50 short. And mom realized that I wasn't eating, so she didn't she didn't want me to starve to death. She gave me the $50, and that's how I got my banjo. And I was learning through that Pete Seeger book. And
Mhm.
I don't know if you folks are familiar with Pete Seeger. He's no longer with us. He was my mentor. I knew him for 40 years. And we're going to tell you that story about how I first met Pete. And then I'm going to sing you the song
Hmm.
that the day that I met Pete that we sang. But so we're turning back the clock. I'm learning how to play the banjo, and I went to a concert over at Douglas College, over connected with Rutgers University, over in New Jersey. And that day I played hooky. Well, that's what you do when because I knew that Pete Seeger was going to be playing over at the college. Now I've always had long hair, so I was able to get in the back, sneak in the back, and just kind of fit in with all those college students. I was only 15. I was 15 years old. I went there and I saw Pete Seeger on the stage, and he held up his arm like this, and everyone sang. And I never saw anything like that before. And and you can understand this, folks. There was a moment I'm sitting there and I'm watching Pete, and my body fills with light, totally fills with light. And I never had an experience like this. And this idea of this is what you're going to do with your life came to me, and it changed me. Went backstage, and there was Pete. He was there. There was signing a. I think at the time it was in Vietnam.
Mhm.
He was trying to end the war in Vietnam, and so he had a petition. And I went back there. There was mothers and babies and college students. Everybody was there, and I went there and I signed this petition. And then I asked him. I said, Pete, why do you play the banjo? And he smiled and he said, because I like the tone. The fact that he talked to me at 15 was a big deal. And I really then wanted to learn how to play the banjo. And he was involved with an environmental group called the Sloop Clearwater about cleaning up the Hudson River because he was passionate about the environment and how if we all worked together that we could make a difference and clean up the river. And he would spend a lot of time picking up garbage. I mean, this guy would pick up garbage, and he did it in such an earnest way. Oh, everybody who wanted to talk to him, wanted to meet to him, they would pick up garbage too. So there would be Pete picking up garbage, and then he'd have a whole line of people, and they all be. If you wanted to hang out with Pete, you were picking up garbage too. He was teaching in this extraordinary way by example, right?
Yeah.
That's important.
Yeah.
That the fact that it wasn't that he just talked about it. It was he walked his talk, as we say. He did the thing rather than talk about it. He didn't say pick up the garbage.
Right.
He didn't have to.
Right.
People just went ahead and picked up the garbage. And I was, it's still in high school, and I joined this group, and I would see Pete, but I was very shy. I didn't really know. I'd see him, but I didn't go over and talk to him or anything like that. And one day he was doing a concert over in Central Park. And that day, what happened?
Okay, so now it's my turn. So so we actually, my mother took my sister Tina, my brother David, and we went into Central Park to go to the Museum of Natural History. And the way that it's right next to Central Park. So what we were able to do is we were able to leave, and there was Central Park. And so my mom's like, let's go to Central Park. So we were in Central Park, and what we did is we saw all these people walking with like instruments, and they were all like, they were hippies. Let's be honest, they were all hippies. And so, because I am me, I'm like, oh, what are you doing? And they said, oh, Pete Seeger is having a free concert at Central Park. And I said to my mom, I said, I bet Ricky's there. Let's go find him. So now you have to remember, my brother David, so David was still in a stroller. So he probably was about 2. So that means I probably was 8. Okay. And so my mother's we're in the stroller. We go to where the concert is. And I say to my mother, now this is Central Park. And I'm 8 years old with my little sister, Tina, who's 3 years younger. So I said, okay, you stay here. We're going to go find Ricky and we'll be back. And my mother goes, okay. So what happens is, I go looking, I walk all the way around, I come back to my mother and I go, he's not here. And I go, and then something pops into my head and I said, oh, he's friends with Pete Seeger. He met him. He must be in the back. He must be in the back with him. Okay, did not understand word of knowledge. Just saying. And that light, yeah, that was God. Anyway, so what happened, so I go to this big, like, a bouncer. And the bouncer, he says, can I help you? And I said, yeah, my brother is friends with my brother is friends with Pete Seeger, sorry. And he says, oh, okay. And he brings me backstage. Me and my sister, we go backstage and we go to a trailer. And he brings me to Pete Seeger's dressing room. And so I walk in and there is his wife, Toshi, and she's ironing. Okay. And there's Pete. And so I start talking to Toshi, and then within a few minutes I go, wait a second. I go, I know you. I said, you're Pete Seeger. And he looks up and he was filing his nails. And I said, and he goes, yeah. And I said, my brother because I was watching Sesame Street because I was a kid. I said, my brother makes me wake him up when you're on Sesame Street. And he goes, oh, he does. And I said, yes. I said, he's a really good banjo player. He's almost as good as you. I did say that. And I said, his name is Rick Polari. And I says, is he here? And he goes, no, I'm sorry, he's not here. So they kind of talked to us for a little bit, and then they must have like called security, come and get these 2 little girls out of here. And so they said, he's not here. I said, okay. So we left. I went back to my mother. He's not here. We went home. That was it. So the next morning we're sitting at breakfast and I tell my brother, Rick, I said, hey, I met Pete Seeger yesterday. I said, he's very nervous. And so Ricky's just like, she's 8 years old. What do you think?
The whole thing is, so I don't know anything about this meeting. Okay. I go to this concert. And
the next day,
and Pete Seeger and Arlo do a great job. And Pete says, well, tomorrow we're going to have a big concert over in Hoboken, New Jersey, benefit for the Clearwater. Everybody's welcome. So I got excited, and I went to leave that morning. I put my banjo on my back. I'm heading out the door. And that's when you said,
yeah, that he's nervous.
That he files his nails.
He files his nails.
And I'm going, what? I did not understand at all that she had actually met Pete. And I just go off, went off to the concert over in Hoboken. So I get over there, and there's a few young people like myself, and at that time I was 19 years old.
You were all playing music outside,
yeah,
right?
we're playing some music, just, in a little circle, just a little circle. And then Pete Seeger comes and he unzips his guitar case and pulls out the big 12 string and he starts playing. And I'm sitting there going, I can't believe this. I'm playing with Pete Seeger. And we play a couple songs and then the music stops. And Pete looks right at me. He goes, who are you? I haven't seen you before. And I stumble out. I said, I'm Rick Polari. He goes, Rick, I met your sisters yesterday. I'm going, what? He said, I met your sisters yesterday. They told me you were a good banjo player. Why don't you come up on the stage and we'll play a couple songs together?
Your calling will call you out,
And
Ryan.
I was shocked. He brought me on the stage.
Uh-huh.
And we played, and we
this
played. I'm gonna lay down my sword and shield down by the riverside, down by the riverside, down by the riverside. I'm gonna lay down my sword and shield down by the riverside and study war no more. I ain't gonna study war no more. Ain't gonna study war no more. Ain't gonna study war no more. I ain't gonna study war no more. Ain't gonna study war no more. Ain't gonna study war no more. I'm gonna walk with that Prince of Peace down by the riverside, down by the riverside, down by the riverside. I'm gonna walk with that Prince of Peace down by the riverside and study war no more. Sing with me now. I ain't gonna study war no more. Ain't gonna study war no more. Ain't gonna study war no more. I ain't gonna study war no more. Ain't gonna study war no more. Ain't gonna study war no more. I'm gonna shake hands with everyone down by the riverside, down by the riverside, down by the riverside. I'm gonna shake hands with everyone down by the riverside and study war no more. Sing with us now. I ain't gonna study war no more. Ain't gonna study war no more. Ain't gonna study war no more. I ain't gonna study war no more. Ain't gonna study war no more. Ain't gonna study war no
Woo!
So I was from that meeting, I was able to, Pete started calling me up.
Yep.
And started getting me involved with the Clearwater Project, and I found a little organization and worked together to try to clean up the river. And that lasted, that friendship lasted for 40 years. And right near the end of his life, I was with him too. Now, an interesting thing, folks. Now, for years, Pete Seeger had on his banjo, he said, "This machine surrounds hate and forces it to surrender." Okay. And when I did a project with Pete later on in his life, this banjo company gave me a banjo, and they had it printed just like Pete's. This machine surrounds hate and forces it to surrender. And Pete's daughter, Tina, she said, Pops, she called him Pops, said, Pops used to spend a lot of time hand drawing that logo. And, she said, just having it printed doesn't have the same thing. And she said, maybe you could put your own logo on there. So I started thinking about it, and she was right. You don't want to be an imitation.
That's right. You want to be an original.
You want to be an original. So I started thinking about my life and who I am. And I should have my own kind of legend on my banjo. So if you look at my banjo,
hold on. I just got to flip it.
Oops.
Hold on. Okay. Oh, actually, you can see it.
Yeah. So you can see that it says, "This machine fosters hope and brings people together."
Isn't that nice?
And if you notice that the hope, the P and the E, because I've been playing so much, gets worn off, because hope needs to be restored.
Oh, hold on. We're going to do something.
Yeah.
Come on.
And so that's important. So I have to, every once in a while, I have to put the P and the E back in the hope, because hope just doesn't happen by itself.
Come on.
You have to work at making hope possible.
That's good.
And so that's what it says on my banjo head. And it's true. I felt that was a real description of who I am, because for so many years, my banjo has been with me and has brought all kinds of people together. And folks, we don't have to agree on everything.
Sure.
We don't have to agree on everything. So, I mean, Lisa and I are apples and oranges sometimes.
When it comes to certain things.
So when we come to certain
Yeah.
things that we won't talk about.
We won't talk about because we want to keep this a PG friendly broadcast or
And-
G rated.
But that doesn't matter. The heart is what matters.
Yeah.
And in the heart is where we're all connected. And so you can see that the music, as Lisa grew up, we didn't have music when I was growing up.
Mm-hmm.
But Lisa and Tina and young brother David,
Yep.
they all grew up with music around them. It was
Mhm.
part of their existence.
Mm-hmm.
They were used to having all kinds of strange people pop in the house and stay for a couple. My mother was really cool about that.
Yeah.
She would
Actually, and my father too.
Yeah.
They loved having people and having music. My dad would cook, and we would wake up in the morning and there'd be people all over the floor. You'd have to step over them because they would be playing until 3-4 o'clock in the morning.
It's
And
true.
No, and like they weren't doing anything, but so there was always music. So I think that's one of the things that music has been so important to my life. But like Rick and I were talking about some things, and because we share the same birthday, there's more than just what we share as our birthday. We share a love of music. We
And
share and people, and we
And
love.
people.
We do love people. We're people persons,
Mhm.
right? We get along with people. He has stories. I have
Oh,
stories.
yeah.
Oh, he has stories.
Oh
So,
yeah.
And
And the thing is that you gotta remember that they're spelling my name with a C. Did you see that?
because of
They
Facebook.
don't know.
No, no, because
I got the first
RIK.
the first time that I got a business card. I
Uh-huh.
must have been like 18,
Uh-huh.
19. No, maybe 20.
Uh-huh.
Or maybe 20 years old. I got the business card and I was with a band and they misspelled my name. They had RIK. And at first I got upset about that. I said,
Mhm.
misspelled my name, RIK, Rick with no C.
Mm-hmm.
And then everybody said, hey man, that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
You should keep it. And I did. And I did. So whenever people look at my name, they said, what happened? You lost your C. I said, well, I lost it in a bad printing accident. And it's a good conversation starter,
Uh-huh.
And I think that sometimes I think that life just takes care of itself.
Well, sometimes God will change your name because you're no longer who you were.
Maybe that's what it was. I don't know, but all of it.
God changes your name.
I
Yes.
became Rick with no
Mhm.
no C in
That's right.
there. And as Lisa said, that we are storytellers. We
Yep.
come from a long line of storytellers.
Yep.
That was what we do when we gather. We tell stories. We sit around the table,
Drink coffee
drink
or tea
coffee,
or
and my
tea.
Polish grandmother, Veronica, she would sit. If you arrived,
Doesn't matter.
she'd sit there. She'd have a deck of cards, and she would tell fortunes there. And
Regular- yeah.
she would, if you dropped a spoon, she would say, "Oh, company's coming." The spoon was a woman, right?
Yeah, I think
The
so. And a
spoon.
fork was a man.
Yeah, the fork was the man.
Yeah.
And the knife was anybody. I don't
Yeah,
know if
yeah.
anybody who decided to come. So we grew up with all these kind of folklorish kind of things in the family, and gathering together and talking about, like we're talking about war in that study, War No More. Of course, with the war in Ukraine going on right now. You think about the tragedy that people are facing with their houses being destroyed and nowhere to go. And my mom, she grew up in Poland, right? The war was breaking out. And one of the stories that she told, she said that she was just a little girl and she was walking through the fields one day and she saw the rain, silver rain shining down, and it was falling so hard that it made little holes in the ground. And she said she never saw rain like that, and she wanted to go out and touch those raindrops, those silver shiny raindrops, but luckily she couldn't, because then she heard the sound of the two planes, and that was two planes that were shooting machine gun bullets, and that's what was falling down from the sky and making those holes in the ground.
Mm.
And when the family lived on a road in Smollis that went east east to west, and so they had all kinds of. They had Russians coming in one way, they had the Nazis coming in the other way, and they ransacked the house. And the family had to hide out in the woods,
Yep.
hid out in the woods, and they lived on whatever they could find, mushrooms and different things. And they said that they had to even eat bark. Now I didn't know that that you can eat bark.
Bark don't bite.
No, bark. There is a I read about this.
All bark, no bite. That's
No,
better.
no. There's a certain part of the tree
Uh-huh.
where the bark is edible, and you can sustain yourself from eating the bark,
Right.
out of the tree. So all of these things came. It was part of like growing up, listening to these stories about Poland. And I'm gonna play. I'm gonna get one of those flutes from Poland.
Okay.
Okay, or you can continue. Tell them some more about Poland while I get this.
Okay. So in 1991, was it 1991? We went to Poland, and we went with Rick and his wife Mariana, who's here. Hi, Mar. And we went to Poland. Oh, I know what I'll tell. I'll talk about how my brother almost got arrested by the Polish police. I'm just saying they confiscated our equipment, and Rick was going to kick some Polish butt trying to get it back. I'm like, he's going to go to
But
freaking gulag.
It was Rob's personal equipment.
I understand that, but we were trying to coerce, and we were trying to manipulate this soldier, trying to get back our equipment because they confiscated it. And so he was dancing, and we were laughing, and everything was all good, and we thought we had him. We were like, oh, he's ours. And then Rick said, so we can take our equipment. And he went, no. And Ricky went, ah! And I went, no.
It was pretty dramatic.
Oh, I'm like, he's going to go to jail. So I had to take him and
that
pull
was
him
long
off.
before
Yeah.
all of the safety things that have been installed. Yes,
Oh,
it was
yeah.
pretty bad.
Oh, yeah.
But the equipment did come back. The Polish Airlines
We got
paid-
everything back. We
they
got
paid
everything.
the bounty.
They did.
And it was remarkable, but it was kind of cool that you got to see where Mom grew up.
I did. I actually went to the farm, and it was interesting because like my mom's job as a little girl, she was in charge of the cows. I know. I'm just telling you, that was her job. And she had that, she loved her cow Whistle. And she would tell me about Whistle as a young girl. I know. And now I have my own sacred cow, although she's called Sally, which is here. This is my sacred cow. So we kick the sacred cow every now and then. So anyway, but my mother, her job, her name is the cows. So I was out on the field. I remember like being in Poland. I remember looking as I was in my 20s, and I'm looking out there, and I was looking beyond the horizon and wondering, what was my mother thinking when she was a little girl? Was she constantly saying, what's beyond? Like, what's beyond that field? What's beyond that horizon? What's beyond? Because there's something inside of you where God starts to call you, and he starts to woo you into the identity of who you really are. And so I think that it's kind of funny how certain things from our lineage are making it into my life, because Ricky is an author. So he's written 3 books, 2 books.
2.5.
2.5 books.
I was a co-author.
He was a co-author. He was in Chicken Soup for the Soul.
Yeah, Stories for a Better World.
Yeah. And so I'm going to submit something to Chicken Soup for the Soul.
Good.
And we're going to see if maybe I'll follow in his footsteps. And I always felt that way. I always felt like Ricky would do something, and then it would pave a way for me to do something. And so tell them about your flute.
So in 1984, I was interested in Polish folklore, and I wanted to learn more about the music and the folk culture, and especially about the bagpipes. And now folks don't know that Poland had bagpipes, but they had about 6 different types of Polish bagpipes. And so I went to, with the help of Pete Seeger. Pete was always there as a mentor. And he helped me get this grant. And that was 1984. That was under communism. And I went to Poland in this remote village called Istebna, Poland, high up in the mountains. That's the place where they carry on the old traditions. And so I went there to learn how to play the bagpipes, but I learned so much more. And my teacher, Yusuf Broda, uh, he he was teaching me about music. And this is a time when martial law was declared in Poland, so there were a lot of things that were rations. You couldn't get meat, you couldn't get butter. Every family had a ration card. It was really difficult times. And if you were a musician, it was super difficult because there was nothing available. If you had a guitar, you could only get the high E string. No other string was even available. They had knots that they would tie in their strings just to keep on playing. And we were walking through the woods one day, and Yusuf, he pulled a leaf off a tree and he played a melody on it. He said, "See, we don't need money to play music. Music belongs to us naturally." And he said, "Well, I'm going to show you." And we went and we picked up a stick, just a stick off the ground, and we brought it back to the house, and we let it sit for a while. We let it sit for a while down in the basement to get dried out. And then we carved all the bark off of it. We didn't eat the bark, but we just carved the bark off. And then he gave me an old-fashioned hand drill, and I twist and turn until I got all the way through it. And then he made a little notch over here and plugged it up here. And then he took a poker and he slowly burned the holes into it. And we did this together. And then he handed it to me and he said, "Try it." And when we learned songs, we didn't learn songs out of a book. We learned songs out of life. So if we were learning a song about the word shumi, if you say that word shumi,
Shumi.
shumi means the wind as it blows through the trees, or the water as it flows through the valleys. And so we would sit there, right there next to the river, right when the wind was blowing, and we would hear that wind blowing. And you teach me this song. Let's try that again. Shumi doline, shumi gron. I need a sh sound.
Shh.
No, continue.
Oh, shh.
Shumi doline, shumi gron, pashe tamotse, sinek moi, pashe tamotse. Sinek moi, pashe hi pashe zagratso, pashe hi pashe zagratso, kospoyi miwe zatocho, kospoyi miwe Zatocho. And the song is about that wind and how it's flowing, through the branches of the trees and through the river. And the young boy is watching the sheep, tending the sheep, offset, and watching the sheep. And he's thinking about the girl that he loves. And that's what the song is about. So I learned that song just sitting there like that. And the other instrument, see, this is your musical education of Polish folklore 101 that we're doing today. And so this is a puszczelka.
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 And the puszczelka is different that it's a long with it, out from your nose. You can see that.
It's a Pinocchio nose.
Yeah, that you have to have it that long because you need your finger at the end of it. See, like this. And you blow into it like this, right? And just there's no holes. Like this one has holes in it. This one doesn't have any holes at all. It just has that one finger.
That was good.
So those are these Polish instruments. But we have another flute. You have to tell them about this other flute.
Yep, go ahead. He's getting the other flute.
Okay. So you're saying, okay, folks, well, that's interesting, but I don't know anything about Poland. What about
America?
What about America? What about the songs of America? So this here is a Lakota love flute. You see, it's a Native American flute.
They bring it all the way across my face. That's
right. There it goes. Hold it right there. Okay, so that they can see. And you can see the woodpecker here.
See?
So I'm going to tell you. So I wanted to learn about this. I was doing these school programs. I did over 1,000 schools all over the USA. And I spent a lot of time on Native American reservations. And one time I was out on the Standing Rock Reservation, out in South Dakota. And there, after I did a show, this is a funny story. After I did the show, the school said, would you like to learn anything about our culture? And I said, well, I've heard about this instrument, about the Native love flute. Is there anyone who could teach me? They said, well, you're in luck. One of the best flute players is home today. I have to call his mother first. You have to meet his mother. That's just the way the tradition is. And if she likes you, she'll let you meet her son. Okay. Mm-hmm. So I went over to her and I was doing a program about Polish folk music. I was dressed in the traditional outfit of the Polish mountaineer. She looked at me and she said, you're a colorful character, aren't you? And she
now, wait, let me show you because I have. Watch this, Ricky. Look. Hold on. Where'd it go? Okay. So that is the colorful costume that Ricky, that's my wedding day.
Yeah.
And so that is what you were wearing.
Yeah.
So that is the colorful costume. Do you see how, look how things work.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
And so, I went over and I talked to Kevin. His name was Kevin. His name was Kevin Locke.
Mm-hmm.
And Kevin was sorting his mail. He just came back he was a very well-known flute player. And he's sorting his mail. He's getting, and I'm talking to him. And he says, he goes, I see that you really want to talk and you're interested in the flute. He says, but I'm a little busy. He said, can you come back in about an hour? And I said, okay. So I went over and I went to a little restaurant and I had an Indian taco, they call them. And I came back, I knocked on the door. He said, you came back. That's the first test.
Test number one.
He said, now I want to know, will you sit with me and my family in the traditional sweat lodge ceremony?
Test number two.
And so he prepared the lodge made out of old kind of branches covered over with canvas. And then we climbed into into the sweat lodge, and we lit the fire. It was four rocks, and he started pouring the water over the hot stone. It was like filling up with steam. And then he started doing the whole ritual, which I can't tell you about because it's very personal,
It's private.
very private. And in that, it got very hot. And he said that you might have to leave. Because I'm doing a healing ceremony, and it's going to get very hot in there. And he said, well, if you can't breathe, just lay down. Okay, so I I, I did that for a while, and then he told me, now you have to leave because it's getting too hot, and I'm worried about you. But I had to be asked to leave. I did not leave. I knew it was important. And afterwards, we were both covered in sweat, and he gave me a big hug, and he said, "Okay, Rick, now I'm going to teach you about the flute." And he said that the flute is a very special instrument. It's an old story. And the story is there was a young boy and he was in love with this young Native American woman, but he was very shy. He didn't have any words to tell her how he felt. So she just ignored him. She didn't know. Well, he got so sad that he wandered into the forest further than he had ever been. And then there was a big bull elk. And that elk brought him deeper into the woods and led him to an old cedar tree. Now, this tree was so old that its branches were hollow, and a magical thing took place. Big woodpecker, red-headed woodpecker, flew on one of the branches, and with its sharp beak, it started drilling some holes into one of the branches. And it drilled a few holes, and then it took flight. And the branch started sailing down through the sky, and a magical thing happened. As the branch fell, it made a sound. So the boy picked up the stick and he brought it back to the medicine man to ask him what it meant. Oh, the wise man said, this was a gift from the Great Spirit, and it should be used for our love or courting traditions. He handed the boy the stick. He said, blow into it. When he stopped, he noticed everyone from the whole tribe had gathered round. And that young girl that he loved, she was right next to him. And she had a big smile on her face. But none of the other boys were smiling. They said, where'd you get that magic love flute from? So he told him about the old bull elk, told him about the woodpecker. And soon all the boys went over and they started breaking branches off and they made love flutes of their own. And from that time, whenever a young boy fell in love, he had to compose a song for the woman that he loved on the flute. And if she liked the song, that meant that she liked him, and they would get together. If she didn't like the song, it was over. Unless he was persistent. Sometimes you have to be persistent with love.
Yeah.
And he could go over to the elk dreamers, and they could conjure up a song to win her love, but it would cost them his best horse. Love doesn't come cheap. So I learned how to play the flute from Kevin Locke. Unfortunately, it was only, I think, 2 weeks ago that Kevin Locke passed away. And so I wanted to honor Kevin by sharing that story and that memory of how he taught me this beautiful instrument.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. To me, it's very interesting because, like we said earlier, we have similarities, but there's some differences. And so I can see the orchestration of God's hand in Rick's life, and it's really been beautiful to see how God has connected him with the right people at the right time in the right place, because there was something bigger and greater for him to do. And I think, all of his stories, which is in a book. What's the name of your book?
Mine is called Banjo Man: Adventures of an American Folk Singer.
Yep. So Banjo Man, Adventures of an American Folk Singer. So if you guys like to get a copy and find out about us, because I'm in there.
It's an e-book.
So you can get it on Kindle. It's an ebook. Sorry,
an ebook.
It's
ebook
an
on
ebook.
Kobo.
On Kobo.
On Kobo. And the reason I did that is because Amazon has been not a great company, and I wanted something that
we agree on something
that was more live. It's more friendly for local bookstores. So it's Kobo, Kobo, and you'll find it there. And also, if you really want it, you can just email me at Rick@banjo, R-I-K, remember, R-I-K @banjo.net.
Yep.
And I have hard copies, but they're big. I don't have a copy right here. They're in my truck. They're 535 pages. And my friends joke. They said, most people want to write a book that you can't put down. He said, you wrote one you can't pick up.
Yeah, seriously.
And I'm so proud that Lisa has written a book herself, and Touched by Prayer. You got to tell them where that name came from.
Well, I'm going to. Okay, so this is Ricky's book. So if you guys are interested in getting it, I think that Ryan's probably going to pull up the URL. Yep, he's on top of it. He's like, give me a minute, I'll get it. Okay, so it's very interesting how God uses people. So back in 2013, I went to a conference, and at this conference, I asked to have a talk show. I did. And so they prayed, Larry Randolph prayed, and he said, Lord, release her into her talk show. Let's see. So that would have been in April. So it was probably around like September. It was probably around September where I overheard Rob. He said, he was on the phone. And he said, yeah, I think Lisa's going to do an internet radio show. Like, what? No, I go, did I hear you say that I'm going to do an internet radio show? And he said, yeah. I said, about what? He goes, what you do. That's what he called it. What you do. Because like I would come home and I would tell him, okay, there's the link. Hold on. There's the link. So you can go ahead and you can put that in, right? Kobo, there it is.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's the link if you guys want to get his book. But so it was like, about what you do. And it was about coming home and telling him about my different adventures at the cosmetic counter and how God was doing things. So I said, okay. So I started praying about it. And I said, Lord, I said, do you want me to do this? I said, is this really you? And I said, I don't even have a name. I said, what do I call it? And he said, your brother. Call your brother. He has the name. I was like, what? So I called Rick and I said, hey, Rick, this is what I really feel that God is calling me to do. And God told me that you have the name. And the name he gave me, well, he gave me two names. I can't remember the first one, but the second name he gave me was Touched by Prayer. And something just like, it's like the baby inside of me leaped. And I was like, I like that. But I figured Touched by Prayer, somebody has that name. Nope. I had touchedbyprayer.com, touchedbyprayer.net, touchedbyprayer.tv. I have every single like URL with Touched by Prayer I think I got it for $100. I think, which is like unheard of. It was like, and so Touched by Prayer was born. And so anytime that I've been thinking about things and then there was, I came home from work one day and I said to Ricky, I said, hey, I think God wants me to write a book. And he said, well, He said, if you're going to write a book, he said you should first start with a blog and see if people actually like the way that you write. So I created a blog, which was Lipstick and Prayer. And so, which is going to be my second book. But I started to blog. Do you remember the story about Pinocchio?
Yeah. She was writing all these stories that were based on Disney stories.
Well, some of them, yeah.
Yeah.
God told me about Pinocchio, and so I called Ricky, and I said, "Hey," I said, "so I'm gonna put something by you because I'm, like Ricky's always been like, besides being my brother, he's always been like the mentor of the family, and so." I would come to him and I would talk to him about different things. So I said to him, I said, God's talking to me about this story about Pinocchio and how like we are like Pinocchio. And so we did some research. Ricky did some research and found out that the original author of Pinocchio was actually a Christian.
You probably did more research than me.
And so, but he encouraged me to do it. And so then, of course, when I started to talk about the possibilities of writing a book, he was extremely supportive. And so, yeah, so this December, hopefully my book will be published and I will actually be a published author. So there's actually two authors in our family.
Well, the thing is, folks, that it's really, everyone has a dream about, writing a book, but it's not easy. Anyone who's written a book will tell you that it takes a lot of perseverance. There's a lot of frustration. There's you get to certain points where you feel like it's almost there, but it's not there. And sometimes you have to do all of these rewrites. And, the other thing is that no matter how hard you try, there's going to be, this is important, folks. There's going to be mistakes. I kind of put the idea of typos are like kittens. If you ever try to round up kittens, you try to find all those kittens, and those kittens are everywhere, and you think you got them all, and then there's the one that's hiding underneath the couch that you missed.
Yeah.
So that's the way that I feel about it. But I found that there's a kind of a philosophy that really sums it up. That's very interesting, called wabi sabi.
Wabi sabi.
Wabi sabi.
Okay.
Wabi sabi is from Japan, and what it means is being perfectly imperfect.
I like that.
And what it is saying that we all have flaws. We all have flaws. And in that wabi sabi, there's also this idea, it's like if you were a potter and you were making a pot and you put it in the kiln and something happened and it broke and you got this big crack. Now, one thing you could do is you could take that pot and just throw it away, right? But you can also take that pot and fill the cracks with gold. That's right. You put gold in the cracks, and guess what? Those faults, that crack becomes the most beautiful part of the pot. And that's how it is in life too, that we all have these faults and we can't run away from them. What we have to do sometimes is embrace those and in a way, fill them with gold. Say, okay, I made this mistake, but I think that I've learned from it. And in the end, those faults that we had made sometimes can make the most beautiful changes in our lives.
Well, and I think that's one of the things, we are called, like this, the thing is that we are called to create. I'm going to go a little biblical with you. Here we go. Okay, so we are created in the image of God. Okay, so when God can create. Okay, so we are the only creation that can create. Can animals create?
They can multiply.
I didn't say that. I said create. Can they create?
They try.
Okay, so they're able to be creative.
Yeah, well, there's like gorillas. They've taught gorillas how and
Yes, but they
elephants.
had to be taught.
They had to be taught.
They had to be taught.
That's right.
It's not something innate. It is something that you have to be taught. But the nature of man is to be creative. We're always thinking of creative ways. That's why there's books and there's songs and there's art inside of people. But what happens is that it can take people who can shut that thing down. What did your teacher tell you about writing a book? Or writing anything? What was one of your teacher's comments?
Oh, geez.
Listen to this.
Well, I don't know which one you're talking about.
Well,
So
what did teachers tell you about your writing?
My writing. See, I hated to write.
Mm-hmm.
See, this is the thing. I never carried a pencil.
Mm-hmm.
You know, in school, they go, Richard, did you bring your pencil? No. And so I didn't like to write at all. And it wasn't until I was living in Poland that Pete Seeger sent me a letter. And he said, Rick, you better start a journal. If you haven't already, he said, you're going to need to write things down because you're not going to remember everything. And he was always right. So I started a journal,
Mm-hmm.
and I started writing down things. And these days, I know ever since then, I mean, it got into the point, my wife, Mariana, is a hand bookbinder.
Mm-hmm.
And she, her family's been binding books. We do a lot of Bibles.
Yep.
Yeah, I think you prayed that we get by. We got more Bible, and from every religion, we have all kinds of Bibles that keep coming in for restoration, and so that's a big part of it. And she had these big ledgers, and that's what I turned into what I call my book of dreams. And then they're not necessarily the things that I'm dreaming about when I'm sleeping. There are things about it that I'm dreaming about when I'm awake, about projections of life. And so I write down my goals, and I review them, read through them, see if I'm making any progress. And that's how I usually start my day. I don't have a book of dreams on the road. It's
Mm-hmm.
not the same. I mean, I have
Mm-hmm.
some paper and stuff, but
Mm-hmm.
there's something about sitting down and writing in a big leather journal. And I have all kinds of words that my wife, puts, trust, dream, and imagine, and your dreams will spring to life. That's on every one of my book of dreams. And there's other things that I have that one of them that has that knock. Ask and you shall receive. Knock and the door will be open. That's also on my book of dreams. So
Mm-hmm.
it empowers me when I sit down with
Mhm.
with these books and go through and read the things that have happened and the things that I'm so grateful for. I mean, that
Mhm.
gratitude.
Mhm.
Gratitude is a big part of I think what we both do.
Yep.
Because if it wasn't for the people who have supported us
Mhm.
through all of this,
Yep.
and I do mean that, and it can be support in so many different ways. It can be support in just being a cheerleader.
Mhm.
You can give people support, monetarily. You can give people thought, with your ideas. You can support people so much. And the thing is that we have to realize that in this world there are two different types of people, right? There are the givers, and then there are the takers.
Mhm.
And we always want to be a giver. I mean, we get things, and we want to reciprocate and give back something. So that's an important part of what we do. Yes, we get many gifts,
Mhm.
from people who admire what we're doing, but we give back. We give back to teaching other people how to do things, seeing an opportunity uh, where like being grateful for Tina for taking care of mom.
She did such an amazing job yesterday for our Thanksgiving.
Oh, the Thanksgiving dinner. We had a Thanksgiving dinner that can't be beat,
Yeah.
as they would say. And Tina really went out of the way to make it something special for
You
the
want to
family.
come say hi?
Yeah.
No.
And she's going.
It's like, no.
So, be grateful when good things come your way. Don't feel like I deserve it, just because. But remember that everything that you get is because someone out there has done something that helped make that happen.
That's good. Okay, so I'm going to go biblical again. So first of all, I have to. Okay, so because all right, Ricky gave me the book called The Secret, right? And I called him back and I said, okay, I got the book. I said, I'm reading it. I said, you want to know the secret? And he goes, what? I said, it's biblically based.
Mhm.
I did. I told him everything that's in The Secret is a biblical principle. Okay, so we're going to start just with a couple of things, which it says in Habakkuk 2:2. Excuse me. It says to write the vision and make it clear, for at the appropriate time you can run with it. See, if you don't know what you're doing, if you don't know where you're going to go, it's really impossible to get to your destiny. Tina, hey T, can you get me a water? Can you get me a water? Thank you, honey. So if you don't know where you're going, you'll just sit there and spin your wheels. So you have to have like a vision, right? It says, my people perish for lack of knowledge, but it also says that it's important to have plans and to have a vision. Because if you don't have a vision, you're not going to go anywhere. And I can't think of the scripture. I'm sure somebody's going to pop in the scripture. The other thing that it says, that just like I was saying a couple days ago, I was just saying this. I said that what you get poured into you, you have to pour out to others. That the gifts inside of you are not for you. Your gifts are for other people. So your gifts are here to educate, to communicate, to inspire, to encourage. Because even music, which I believe, I'm a true proponent that music can change atmospheres. And so Rick's story that is in Chicken Soup for the Soul, one of the Chicken Soup for the Souls, his story, which is one of my favorite stories, had to do with music and changing the atmosphere. So go ahead and
I'll
tell.
tell that story.
Good, go ahead.
I know that one. I don't need a book.
I know you don't need a book, but and did you play your guitar?
Not yet. But
Yeah.
so the story is like this. Okay. The story is called The Musical Bus Ride. I was out up in Alaska. I was up performing in Alaska. And I got to Seattle, and then I was going to catch my flight back home again in Seattle, Washington. But that we had to get to the airport for the next to get to the next change.
Mhm.
So what happened was that I noticed that there was a problem. Everybody was angry. They're shouting, and the woman who was, trying to adjust the tickets and everything, it was a big problem. Some planes were not coming in on time, and the bus that they had, or they were going to have a flight that took us to the next leg, and that plane didn't come.
Mhm.
Okay, so they were angry because how are we going to get to make our connections? Well, they decided that they could get a bus. All right, so they made a phone call. Everybody's arguing, everybody's mad, uh, and the bus driver comes in, and he's mad because he had to be woken up on his day off, and he was not a happy man. And he pulls in the bus, and the first thing he says, they expect me to make a miracle and get you to make your connection. He says, good luck with that, And so I'm watching all this confusion going on. I have my banjo on my back like I usually do.
And he tells you, don't.
Yeah, no, and he says, what do you think? You're going to play that on here?
That's not happening.
And yeah, he said, yeah. And I said, well, I wasn't really thinking about it. So I get into the bus. And the more I sat there, and the more confusion and the more aggravation that was going on, because everybody was angry about it. We're never going to make it in time. I know this, and that's stupid. And they're going on and on. So I decide that, well, maybe I'll just pick up my banjo like this.
Here comes the banjo.
Banjo comes out of the case. And the woman, she looks at me and she goes, You gonna play that on this bus? He said, what if I don't like what you're playing?
We'll play Blue Skies.
Yeah. And so I said, well, tell me and I'll stop, you know? And I play a chord like that, you know, and real soft they go. Then I start playing a little bit louder. And everybody starts tapping their foot. All the arguing stops. And people start singing. How's it go, Lisa?
You know it.
Blue skies smiling at me. Nothing but blue skies do I see. Bluebirds singing a song. Nothing but bluebirds all day long. And it gets louder and louder, and everybody's singing and singing. And then they say, hey, can you play You Are My Sunshine? I start playing You Are My Sunshine. And then somebody says, can you play this? And everybody's, and even the bus driver, that mean guy, he's now singing. Everybody's singing in the whole bus. And then the magic happened. No more frustration. Everybody's singing. People start taking out photographs on their phones of their family members. People start sharing food together. We finally are coming to the airport, and the bus driver says, look, there's the airport. We made it in time. And he said, we couldn't have done it without the banjo. And they got off the bus. Everybody hugged each other. They exchanged addresses. And a couple weeks later, I got my mailbox was filled with letters from that musical bus ride.
That's so good. That's so good. See, and that's why I always feel like, and so Ricky plays a lot of instruments because people are asking, how many instruments do you play?
Boy,
I know, a lot.
A lot.
Yep.
A lot of them. There's another one I could show them, and it has a good story. But you tell something while I get it.
Okay. I don't know which one he's going to get, but I want you to. Okay, so this is the part where I stop thinking about what everybody and I start asking for songs that I want. And so, because I want you to do Abby Yo-Yo.
Oh, no, Abby Yo-Yo.
Oh, I love Abby Yo-Yo.
So this is a sweet potato, right?
Ocarina.
Ocarina. I learned how to play this over in Poland. And it has a good story that goes with it.
It's a sweet potato.
It's a sweet potato. Do you ever play one of these?
You can play. Yeah. You can play a sweet potato. Just letting you know.
There was this old man, and he lived at the top of the mountain. This is over in Poland. He lived there, and remember, this was those hard times, rationing food and everything. And he went all the way down the mountain, and he got to a little store. He came in the door, and he saw a piece of kibasi meat hanging there on a hook. And just for a moment, his mind got distracted. He turned his head, and it was gone. And there was no more. That was it. That one piece. That's all they had in the store. So he got some bread, put it in his knapsack, and he started walking up the mountain. He started walking higher and higher and higher, and the higher that he climbed, the more his old legs started to feel that pain that you feel when you're
When you're
walking,
old.
when you're old and you're walking up that hill. And he got about halfway up there, and he said, "You know, life is just difficult. I couldn't even get the food that I wanted. I'm only halfway up this mountain. My poor legs hurt so bad." He said, "You know, I just want to give up. Just give up on life and just sit down on this mountain and just wait for my moment to die." And he sat down, and he was so depressed, he just sat there. And he remembered. He remembered a shortcut that he used when he was a young boy. And he started thinking about the shortcut. He was saying, I wonder if I can find that shortcut. Now I could get to the top of the mountain without any problem. He got himself up. He started walking. One step, two steps. But he kept searching back and forth, looking for that shortcut. He went higher and higher. He kept searching and searching. Where was it? Higher still, higher. And there he was at the top of the mountain. And he said, "Sometimes in life, there are no shortcuts." Gdyby te gruniczku, a słonka kim zniżył, to byś moja mnuszeczku, zły potem jem do mnie. Haj, haj, zły potem jem do mnie. Haj, haj, zły potem jem do mnie. So there's that lesson in there, right?
Mhm.
That we're always looking for a shortcut. We're always looking for the easy solution. And sometimes it doesn't exist. Sometimes you have to keep on going, even if it's painful.
Mm. Ooh, that's a good word. Sometimes you have to go when it is painful.
That's right. That's right.
So the thing, okay, so Rick, in addition to playing all these instruments, and he's going to bring out, he plays a guitar too. So that's going to be coming. But I remember with going back to Pete Seeger that he also organized festivals.
Mm-hmm.
Something else that is in common, like because you organize festivals and gatherings.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the people, let's see, Bob Yan from Sesame Street
Oh,
was
no,
there.
it was.
Oh, not Bob Yan,
No.
Bob. What's his name?
Yeah,
I know. I went Bob.
not Bob Yan.
No, it's not Bob Yan. Although we do love Bob Yan. No. It was I can't think of his name, but it was Bob from Sesame Street. He
Mhm.
was there. Harry Chapin
Mhm.
was there. So
Yeah,
and I've gotten to, because of Ricky, I was up on stage singing with Harry Chapin and
Oh, yeah.
Bob McGrath.
Bob McGrath.
Bob McGrath from Sesame Street. So, but what's really interesting is that it was the stuff that Ricky, when he would learn how to play something, that like those were the things that like really helped to shape my music. And guess what, Derek Lynn? He went to Israel. He paved the way for me to go to Israel. So next year I'm going to be going.
Let me tell you, folks.
Yeah.
The trip to Israel was one that I had prepared for more than any other trip. I got invited to play at the Jacob's Ladder. It's called the Jacob's Ladder Folk Festival, and it's right on the Sea of Galilee,
Mhm.
right there.
They do it in by the Sea of Galilee. Is that where they say that
Yeah.
Jacob's Ladder was?
Not far from there.
Interesting.
And so some of the scholars over here will
Mhm.
correct me. But anyway, but the festival's right on the Sea of Galilee, and I got invited to go over there. But there was a lot of people telling me not to go. There were a lot of people telling me not to go, and I felt that I want to make my own decision. I want to see with my own eyes and hear with my own ears about the things that are going on.
And what did I tell you?
And so I researched, I read that book, Walking the Bible.
Mm-hmm.
I read that book,
Mm-hmm.
and I was learning so much about you know about Israel. And once I got there, boy, it was even more eye opening. And I realized there's old, and then there's Jerusalem.
Ooh,
And
ooh, that's a word.
so when I went to, first played a couple of rooftop concerts over there in Tel Aviv, and then I went out and out in different parts of Israel, and I went to the Bedouin community. I went out there to the Bedouins, and there was always camels. You have to watch out for the camels on the road. Uh,
I spit on your camel.
and then I was playing in Jerusalem, and I can remember being on the train as the little train, because I did everything by, I wasn't renting cars because I figured I couldn't figure out how to drive over there.
Mhm.
So, all those different signs and stuff. So I was going basically on trains and things like that, or people were picking me up. And I'm coming into Israel. That magical city came into view. And the woman who put me up for the time that I was there, she said, "Well, it's not too far from here. Just go walk there."
Mhm.
So I walked into the old town of Jerusalem, walking around, and I'm walking down this one road, and I don't know, my shoes just kept slipping and sliding. I fell. I kept falling as I
Oh,
walked
come
along. No,
on.
I'm serious. I kept falling a couple of times, and guess where I
I
was?
know he was on the road to the cross.
Yeah, that was it. And that was kind of, I realized I looked up and I said, "Oh gosh,
What did they call it? The Rosa something or another.
Dolorosa."
Yeah,
Or so I
something.
can't.
Yeah, but it's basically the road that Jesus walked to go to the
Mm.
crucifixion.
And so I was over there, and I went to the Holy Sepulchre Church, and I
Mhm.
went into the old. It was like, to me, that it was kind of, everything was in this one church kind of building there. So I went
Mhm.
to everything, but everybody was arguing with each other there because
Mhm.
there's three different people that control that church.
Yep.
They have the Orthodox. What is it? The Russian Orthodox are there,
Okay.
right? And they have somebody else, and then they have the Muslims holding the key. I mean, it's just crazy, and
Right.
everybody's arguing with each other.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, "Gee, this is crazy." So I
Mm-hmm.
went down to the Western Wall,
Mm-hmm.
and I sat there, and I found a little peace. That was for me, there was a real kind of peace there.
Mm-hmm.
Tried to go into the mosque,
Yeah,
and I
no.
couldn't get there. I was met with a machine gun.
Yeah, you can't
Be-
get in.
it was a holiday, so I
Ah.
couldn't even put my foot on the the ground over there.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was thinking about it, and I realized, the troubles of the world, it really, most of them are confined. They come from just this one little square.
Mm-hmm.
And then later on, I went up to what's the Mount of Olives?
Mount of Olives.
Yeah.
Oh no, you went.
No,
You went to the
what?
Garden of Gethsemane.
Well, I went there, yes.
Yeah.
And then I'm there, and I was looking down, and if you're in Israel, you see all of the gravestones that
Mhm.
are all, that's all you see.
Mm-hmm.
For everywhere that you look, is there all these graves, because everybody wants to be
Mhm.
buried there.
Mm-hmm.
And there's that golden gate, the,
Mm-hmm.
the golden gate,
Mhm.
and it's blocked with gravestones, so that you can't, supposedly they don't want people to ever be able to use that gate, but it's powerful. You sit there and you look down and you
Mhm.
see everything there. You start thinking, about that song, the 12 gates to,
Mm.
to you know
I don't know if I know that song.
12 gates to the city, hallelujah.
No,
Oh.
but
Oh, what a beautiful city. Oh, what a beautiful city. Oh, what a beautiful city. 12 gates to the city. Hallelujah. You never heard that song?
No.
Great song. And so, while I was there, I was just kind of getting more and more of the history. And when I finally played at the festival, the Jacob's Ladder Festival, which is still, they still have it there. Now, I don't know if it's in the same place, but it was right there on the Sea of Galilee. So you got to, after I did my show, I was able to swim
Ooh,
in the
how
waters.
cool is that?
And that was a really interesting experience. And I also went to that old city where St. Peter was born. How do you say it? It begins with a C.
Capernaum?
Yeah, yeah.
Capernaum.
I went there. So I was doing all the things that I had read about, and it left me with a really important vision in my head about how this world is a very old place, and that if we just sit home and never see anything, it's so easy to dislike people that you don't know. If you don't know people, you can have all kinds of ideas about who they are and what they are. But even if you reach out to one family that's different than you are and get to know that family, you say, well, they're not quite like I thought they were,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and that you have a better understanding about humanity.
Mm-hmm.
That like we were saying before, we don't all always have to agree on every topic.
Right.
Pete Seeger would say to me, one of the most important things to know is that we can agree to disagree.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how we build bridges.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. I can play my banjo with people. We don't even have to speak the same language.
That's right.
And we can sing together and we can smile. And that's the first thing.
Yep.
Is getting to know someone. When you eat together and when you sing together,
Mm-hmm.
and when you have a conversation, a positive conversation, so hard to have in this world right now, because everyone wants to divide each other.
Mm-hmm.
But I always felt that it's so important to be able to bring people together and to learn from one another.
Mm-hmm.
We can all learn from each other, and that's an important thing, so that we can build bridges. That's what we want to do. I mean, I want to do.
Right.
I want to build bridges so that I call it a peace bridge.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, a peace
Mm-hmm.
bridge between different ideologies and philosophies and stuff, that we can all build that bridge together. We can all walk on that bridge of understanding if we try. It's not that easy to try sometimes, because we have an idea in our heads of what things are.
Well, if you really want to talk about that, is that like Jesus, who is considered, one of his names is the Prince of Peace. He came to bring peace. He came to bring peace to the world. God's heart is unity. Mm-hmm. He does not like division at mm-hmm. all. That is mm-hmm. not who he is. And mm-hmm. so wherever there has been division, mm-hmm. that's been like the peace comes in to bring unity. Mm-hmm. That's why music is such a mm-hmm. unifier.
Yeah.
It really is. And there, and it's also how we speak, because, seeing different people and the way that they interact, just because somebody like that's my whole thing, is that there are people who are different, but yet I can talk to them.
I was thinking of the song here that I wrote. It's a different song. I don't
know it.
You might have heard it. I don't know. I can't see. I'm way off the screen here.
Oh, hold on.
Yeah, just turn that.
There you
go. That's the other thing that we do in our family. You should have seen us beforehand. We're trying to figure out the best lighting, where to put the screen.
It's true. Ryan was there. Ryan was there. Yeah.
And so I wrote this song, and it has. Hopefully, I remember all the words. Let's see. Plant the seed for peace today, and peace will grow tomorrow. Hope and pray for better days without war, pain, or sorrow. Work each day in your own way. Break the chains that bind you. Bless the earth with love and hope. Place of peace will find you. Let the sun shine through the clouds and chase away the darkness. Let the light within you now restore your faith and purpose. Keep your eyes upon eyes. Keep your spirit strong. The only way we can fix this world is to keep on keeping on. So plant a seed for peace today, and peace will grow tomorrow. Hope and pray for better days without war, pain, or sorrow. Work each day in your own way. Break the chains that bind you. Bless the earth with love and hope. The place of peace will find you. Peace will find you. Peace will find you. And you gave me that line, that place, because place of peace will find you. A place of peace. What is a place of peace, Lisa?
Oh, well, I can tell you. A place of peace for me is being inside peace, is being with Jesus, is being with the Holy Spirit, is finding that, just finding that how about this? Finding a place where there is no offense.
Mm-hmm.
No offense. That's peace.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you can't be offended, that there's peace in that. If you can just sit in complete, I guess, rest.
Mm-hmm.
If you can sit and rest, if you can just soak in the atmosphere because there's no hatred, there's pure love, that's peace.
Yeah. There's another song that I didn't write. It's an old song that I haven't sung this in a while. Let me see if I can remember it though.
Okay.
There's a guy named Reverend Kirkpatrick. He was involved with the civil rights, the Resurrection City on Washington, D.C., Poor People's March. And a friend of Pete Seeger, I got to meet with Reverend Kirkpatrick, and I used to play with him down in Jersey City.
Mm-hmm.
We had I was working with some of the Black American children,
Mm-hmm.
and we were singing together. And let's see, this is a song he said that his grandmother used to sing him. And I think you folks, you can sing along with me on this because I'm going to teach it to you. It's pretty simple. Let's see. If I can remember it, get your head going. There is more love somewhere. There is more love somewhere. I'm gonna keep on. I gotta pray the red love. Keep on. Haven't sang in a while. Till I find it. There is more love somewhere. See if we can find that chord. I don't know. Try it with us. There is more love somewhere. There is more love somewhere. Where's the chord? There. I'm gonna keep on till I find it. There is more love somewhere. somewhere there is more hope. Somewhere. I can't remember where that chord is. There. I'm gonna keep on till I find it. There is more hope somewhere. I'm sure, Lisa, I'm gonna find that chord this time.
I know you are. I have faith.
There is more faith somewhere.
Come on, keep that faith going.
There is more faith somewhere. Where's that chord? I'm gonna keep on till I find it. There is more faith somewhere.
I love joy.
There is more joy
Come on.
somewhere.
It's all about the joy.
There is more joy somewhere. I'm gonna keep on till I find it. There is more joy somewhere. Now, Lisa, what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask your listeners to give me a word that we can put in there.
Health.
Okay. There is more health somewhere.
Greater health.
There is more health somewhere. I'm gonna keep on till I find it. There is more health somewhere. What else do we have?
Kindness.
There's more kindness somewhere.
Yes, there is.
There's more kindness somewhere. I'm gonna keep on till I find it. There's more
Kindness.
somewhere. I'm reading some of these words
I know.
here. Forgiveness. There's more forgiveness
Somewhere.
somewhere. There's more forgiveness somewhere. I'm gonna keep on till I find it. More forgiveness somewhere. We have one more.
Grace.
There's more grace somewhere. There's more grace somewhere.
Get your grace from God.
I'm gonna keep on till I find it. There's more grace somewhere. You have one last one that you want, Lisa. What are you thinking of?
Hope.
There's more hope somewhere, but it needs to be replenished.
Yeah.
There's more hope somewhere. I'm gonna keep on till I find it. There's more hope somewhere.
Okay, so I've been sitting here and I've been praying. I'm like, what should you do? I would love for you to tell the story because he sees. He's a seer. He does.
Tell what story?
The one about the train.
The train?
That came up out of the fire. The hobo story.
Oh, you
I
want?
helped.
Well, I
just
gotta
a little bit.
and I gotta sing the Westbound.
Well, yes,
I gotta sing the Westbound.
which is so good.
right.
Westbound's really good. Oh, there you go. That's better.
Now I wrote this song in a hobo jungle. Now I know what you're thinking. You're thinking about hobos as being people who just, lay around. Well, in the old days, I'm telling you, back in the days of the Great Depression, and even before, the word hobo, where does it come from anyway? It comes from the Civil War. When all the guys who were fighting, they were fighting one another. After the war, they saw so much carnage that they just couldn't go back and settle back into life again, sort of like Vietnam in a way. And so those guys, they were known as homeward bounds. And they were going home, but they were going home slow. And oftentimes they'd carry a pole with them. And it wasn't to put a bandana on, no, it was to put a long-handed shovel. Because a hobo is somebody who works, an itinerant worker. And you never call the old hobos a bum. They don't like it. The old saying was, a hobo works and wanders, a tramp dreams and wanders, and a bum just drinks and wanders. So you never call an old hobo a bum. They just don't like it. They worked. They worked hard. They built bridges. They did agricultural work. And they still get together. Some of the old timers in Britt, Iowa, get together on this, and over in Pennsburg, Pennsylvania. And that's where this song comes from, over in Pennsburg, Pennsylvania. And it talks about one old hobo, and his moniker, his nickname was Frog. Now, Frog, he got his moniker from the way he used to leap onto a moving boxcar. Now, Frog's not doing too well, and they're all worried that he's going to catch the westbound. Now, when you catch that westbound, you get the last train up to heaven. You don't want to get that until you have to. And so I was on tour over in England. I got an email from my hobo pals. They said, oh, Frog had caught the westbound. So I felt bad, and I wrote the song in his honor, and I emailed it in. A few days later, I got an email back. They said, oh, they had a big party for Frog, St. Paul, Minnesota. All the hobos there, and they're reciting poetry and singing songs in memory of their dear comrade, when all of a sudden the phone rang. And guess who? It was Frog. They said, but Frog, we thought you were dead. He said, dead? No, dead. I was robbed. I said, what do you mean you were robbed? He said, I'm walking down the street, and somebody lifts my wallet out of my back pocket, steals my identification. They start pretending that they're me, and they go around all over the country pretending they're me. They went out to a bus out to North Dakota, and they died. The police found them. They thought it was me too. Called up my family, told everybody that I'm dead. He said, I'm here to tell you that I ain't dead. But now the good thing is, I know exactly what my funeral's going to be like. I live my life as a hobo. My only home is Soul Train. I've been a frog and a king. Lord, I've done everything. Now I'm riding on that westbound train. Let the jungle fires burn wild and free, and pass my bottle around. Let the train whistle blow. Tell the old beaux I'm a riding on the westbound. I slept in every old boxcar. I rode down every railroad line. Now I don't have to boast. I rode coast to coast. Now I'm riding on that old westbound. Let the jungle fires burn wild and free, and pass my bottle around. Let the train whistle blow. Tell the old beaux I'm a riding on the westbound. Light a candle at the back of my boxcar and gather my good friends around. Let the old banjo ring while the hobos all sing. I'm a riding on the westbound. Let the jungle fires burn wild and free and pass my bottle around. Let the train whistle blow. Tell the old bows I'm a riding on the westbound. Me down in a blanket of cardboard. Use my bindle to pillow my head. And when my body's gone, my spirit will ride on, riding on that old westbound. A young hobo hopped off a boxcar just outside of town. He found a quiet little jungle where he could lay his bindle down. He gathered some dry firewood to brighten up the night, but when he struck his match, he saw an awful eerie sight. For the campfire glowed and sparkled with a brilliant rainbow flame, flickering and dancing like the headlight of a fast westbound train. When out of the smoke and cinders and through the fiery air came the ghost of some old hobos he thought he met somewhere. They came and shook his hand, as all good hobos do, and they offered up a spud or two, and they started boiling up a stew. Their calm and easy manner finally calmed that young beau's fright. He asked if they could jungle up together and spend the lonesome night. Each of us caught the westbound, one beau said with a tear. But we all come back to Pennsburg, if only once a year. In the third week in September, when fall is almost near, we hobo out of heaven and we jungle up right here. You see, this old jungle is a mighty sacred spot where hobos came year after year and camped on this very lot. It was one of the best gatherings that you could ever find, where hobos were respected and treated oh so fine. Well, the moon started yawning, for it was almost dawn. The beaus made up their packs and said they'd be moving on. Then there was a mighty whistle, and the campfire filled with steam, and all the hobos vanished like it was just a crazy dream. The young beau sat bewildered. He said, how could this really be? Is it something I've been drinking, or is my mind just fooling me? Then he looked into the fire, and what he saw he could not explain, for there were his hobo buddies riding on a fiery train. The train sounded one last whistle, and his hobo pals waved so long. Then a magic wind blew the flames out, and the campfire light was gone. The young beau packed his bindle. He walked down to the track. He hopped inside a boxcar, but he knew that he'd be back, for the magic in Pennsburg's campfire still lives in all the hearts of every beau who went there and camped beneath the stars. And someday in the future, when all of us are gone, a space-age traveler will light the fire and the legend will live on. Let the jungle fires burn wild and free and pass my bottle around. Let the train whistle blow. Tell the old beaus I'm a riding on the westbound.
All right, can you do the wolf song?
Yeah, I'll do that. But
Okay.
the funny thing is, so
Sorry.
Frog did
Mhm.
he did die, and his last wish was that I came to his grave out in Britt at the Hobo Cemetery and sing that song over his gravesite. So I went out there with my friend Rick Nestler. We went out together. We drove all the way out to Britt, Iowa, and they're having the ceremony, and I'm standing there with my guitar, and Rick was playing along with me, and I looked down at the gravestone. There were my words
Oh, come
on
on.
his gravestone. He wrote the very first line. And it was weird to see your own words with your name on it on somebody's gravestone.
On their grave.
But that's true, folks. And, I guess the thing is that song meant a lot to him because, sometimes people can't articulate. They don't have that gift. of being able to do write a song, put it in poetry. And as songwriters, I think that that's one of the things that we do is we put our thoughts of not just about us, but also about other people as well. And before I sing the Wolf song, I wanted to sing the song I wrote for Dad.
Ah, I was going to tell you to end with that.
No, I want to do it now.
All right.
Once. So, our dad was not, especially not an easy guy to be around when I was a young boy. He was a bit of a violent guy. He was angry at the world, and I didn't understand why he was so angry. And he worked this midnight shift, where all the other guys were all hiding out from the world. Because my dad didn't want to socialize with people, and he would just work and sleep. That was his life. And when he got up, watch out, because he'd be mean. And so I did.
He was tired.
Yeah, he was tired. It was a hard job. And then he started working 2 jobs because he didn't want to deal with life. And one of the things that we did not know at all, was the fact that part of it was because he had dyslexia.
He was dyslexic. Yep.
And he could not read well. And he was hiding from the world because of that. And I'll sing the song, and then we'll talk about the next part of his life. So it was a Father's Day. I was living up in Vermont, where I still live. And everybody was preparing for that Father's Day. They were talking about how they were going to go somewhere with their father, or how they missed their father. And I was thinking about my father, and thinking about that there was never any good there. And but the more I started thinking about it, I realized it just wasn't my father and I. It was my father and his father. And supposedly his father and his father. And then I was part of a chain of confusion, a chain of hate. And I said, it's time to break the chain. I went down to the basement, quiet spot, got a pencil, and I wrote down these words. My father and me would never agree, fussing and fighting since the day I was 3. Giants of steel who just couldn't feel how to show his son his love. Now the hardest thing for a father to do isn't swinging an axe or work the night through. So open your heart, you got nothing to lose. Show your son your love. The autumn winds blew as a young child grew, and he cursed at a man that he never knew. While doing the chores, he cursed him with scorn and never gave his father his love. Now the hardest thing for a father to do isn't swinging an axe or work the night through. So open your heart, you got nothing to lose. Show your son your love. Fathers and sons, since time begun, ironclad hearts are weighing a ton. A shake of the hand, a slap on the back, old memories from a worn leather strap. Now the hardest thing for a father to do isn't swinging an axe or work the night through. So open your heart, you got nothing to lose. Show your son your love. Now too many years have come and have passed, and the days of my childhood are out of my grasp. Now my father and I both want to cry, thinking back on the time that we were denied. Now the hardest thing for a father to do isn't swinging an axe or work the night through. So open your heart, you got nothing to lose, and show your son your love. Yes, the hardest thing for a father to do isn't swinging an axe or work the day through. So open your heart, you got nothing to lose, and show your kids your love.
Okay, so tell them what happened when you sang that song.
Well, I sang it was one of the holidays, and my grandmothers, the two Polish grandmothers, so they were making kiełbasy and gołąbki and pierogi, and everybody's working like crazy. And I said, I want to sing a song. Well, I was always singing a song, so nobody was going to pay any attention. But then I said, Dad, I want to sing a song for you. Well, that was different. So everybody stopped. Everybody stopped. They stopped and they sat there. And I sang the song, and well, you can imagine after the song was over, there were a lot of people in tears. And my dad said, I'm sorry, son. I made mistakes, but I can't change the past, but we can work on the future. And that was the beginning of that healing circle, was from that song. Yep. And sometimes a song can say it better than just, trying to talk through it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think okay, so we thought that the song was just, for my dad, but actually the song was for someone else, right?
The song was for a lot of people.
A lot of people.
From the time that I wrote the song, I would often be on the radio on Father's Day. And one time I was on Vermont Public Radio that reaches all the way into Canada. And after I finished my set, the telephone rang in the studio, and they said, Rick, there's somebody from Montreal. They're up in Montreal, and they want to talk to you. And I said, okay. And I got on the phone, and the guy said, Rick, I was driving down the road, and I heard your song.
He's a truck driver, right?
I don't know if he's a truck driver.
Okay.
He was driving down the road, heard the song, said, I pulled over and listened to it. He said, I hadn't talked to my father in 10 years. But I heard your song, and I went to a phone booth. It was back in the time when we still had phone booths, and called my father up, and we're getting together next week. So thank you for writing that song. And oftentimes when I sing the song, it's not an easy song to sing for me, by the way. The reaction is a lot of men come over and they talk to me about their relationship with their father, or some women do too. Mm-hmm. And that idea about, tough love, about how sometimes, it's not so easy. And how do we make it through life when everything, seems like it's against you? Mm-hmm. And I think one of your listeners, watchers, said, love is the answer.
Yep.
And that's what it is. It's about love. And how can we reach out to each other with that spirit of love?
Yep. 100%. And that's the whole thing. It's like ministering. So I minister through my words, but Rick ministers through music. And that's just the way that God does things. He uses your gifts and your talents, but like we've been saying, it's not just for us to keep, it's for us to give. And so there's so many stories that Rick has, like stories about people who've impacted you, right? Like
Mhm.
this, I love this. I love this song, the Wolf song. So,
Oh yeah, I can do that song.
oh, this
Yeah.
is such a good song. It's such a good song.
You know, and
And we're gonna go back. We're gonna end with the song that my brother wrote for my dad. That's how we're gonna end it.
and hopefully I remember the words, folks. So, but this song here, it's another one of those kind of songs where I was playing the flute, you know, and I was on all these different reservations, and I was listening to the way that people told stories, and I said, "Man, I'd love to be able to tell stories like that." And I got back from my odyssey around the United States, and I realized that one of the best storytellers of all was right in my own community. That's the way it usually is. Is the thing that you want is usually you already have. It's right there, right in front of you, and you don't see it. And then I realized that Wolf Song was there, and I asked him. I said, "Wolf Song, can you teach me a little bit about story?" I like the way you play the flute. If you teach me a flute, and then can
Hold on.
let's see.
Okay, we're good.
If you teach me how to play the flute, then I'll teach you how to tell stories. So I started learning some stories, learning some flute. We would get together and do some shows together, and when he would do a storytelling show, he would tell long stories. So he had to make sure that people were still awake. So he would go, "Hey," and he said, "If you're listening, say ho."
Mhm.
So the audience would go, "Ho," and he would go and tell the story. And every once in a while, he'd go, "Hey," and they go, "Ho." So he passed away way before his time. And I was thinking about him, and I wanted to honor him by writing a song about him. So I went over to Snake Mountain where they scattered his ashes, and I looked at the top of the mountain, and I started thinking about Wolf Song, and in my head there was going, "Hey ho, hey ho, hey ho," on Snake Mountain in the Vermont hills, high above the rocks and rills. After midnight, when the moon's in spring, you can hear the wolf song sing. Hey ah 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 hey. Oh, oh. Hey ah 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 hey. Oh, oh. That's your part, folks, right?
Yep.
I'm gonna slow it down so you get the words, not too hard. Hey ah 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 hey. Oh, oh. Hey ah 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 hey. Oh, he was a man. He walked this land, and he came from Abenaki clan. He shared his stories, he shared his soul, reaching out to young and old. Hey ah 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 hey. Oh, oh. Hey ah 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 hey. Oh, oh. Kept the legends, he kept the lore, and was welcome at every door. He heard the calling of the loon, then he left with the daughter of the moon. Hey ah 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 hey. Oh, oh. Hey ah 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 hey. Oh, oh. Now now his journey in this world is through, but he still lives in me and you, like Kusagabi and all his friends. Now his story will never end. No, no, no. Hey, ah, hey, ah, hey, oh, we remember. Hey, ah, hey, ah, hey. Oh, oh. Hey, ah, hey, ah, hey, oh, we remember. Hey, ah, hey, ah, hey. Oh, oh. Hey, ah, hey, ah, hey, oh, we remember. Hey, ah, hey, ah, hey. Oh, oh. Hey, ah, hey, ah, hey, oh, we remember. Hey, ah, hey, ah, hey. Oh.
I love that song. It's so good. It really is.
Well, we've been talking a lot here. How long we been on this here stream?
2 hours.
2 hours.
That's nothing.
I hope you folks have been enjoying it.
Look, they don't want it to end.
They don't want it to end.
They don't want it to end.
yeah.
2:11. Just saying.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is the thing, because we started off talking about Pete Seeger and how I said Rick was a good banjo player. Okay, I'd really like you to play either Round the Mountain,
I can do
the Bear
that.
Chase. The Bear Chase.
I
It's
can
called
do the Bear Chase. Any kids out there?
Oh, if there were kids, yeah. This is very, very cool. Okay, so this was one of my favorites. Okay. Because this is nothing. See, they know. I once did 5 hours? Was it a 4 or 5 hour? We did a 4 or 5 hour podcast. So 5 hours. 5 hours and some change. Thank you, Ryan. This is cool. Because then you can really, I'm gonna put it down just a smidge so that you can really see his hands. Okay,
right.
now we're gonna be rounding it up.
So this was a song. Now this is kind of funny because Pete Seeger learned this song from Uncle Dave Macon from the Grand Ole Opry. Uncle Dave Macon, one of the old banjo players, and he wanted to put his kids to bed, and he would tell them stories, and he was a good storyteller. And Pete said that the kids realized that was propaganda. So they wanted longer and longer stories. They didn't want those short stories,
right.
You know. And so this was one of the story songs that he put together, and it was on the first album that I remember getting of Pete's. This song was on there. Now the funny thing is, so I was playing this song, and when I went over to Poland, guess what? They played the same melody.
Come on.
They did with their bagpipes and fiddles. Actually, because the melody comes from over in where Slovakia and Poland is.
Wow.
So it was right from that area that the melody came from.
Wow.
And so it was kind of funny to realize that. Let's see. Oh, way, bound for the mountain, bound for the mountain, bound for the mountain, over the hills and the fields and the fountain, way to chase away, rover, see 'em, rover, catch 'em, over the mountain, the hills and the fountain, way to chase away. Once upon a time, was a little girl. She wanted to go out hunting with her father. Her father be all night going out hunting with the dogs, and she want to come too. But he always say, "You're too young, you can't go hunting with me. Besides, you're a girl, girls don't go hunting. I'm gonna have to start moving quick. I'm gonna leave you behind, and you can't go hunting." And she started crying, and he said, "All right, I'll tell you what. Next birthday, next birthday, you remind me, and I'm going to take you home. She said, okay. So, well, the next birthday rolled around, as birthdays do, and she reminded her father of the promise. I said, well, I guess I made the promise, so I'm going to have to take you along. But remember, I'm out there hunting bears. If I see a big bear, I'm going to have to move quickly. He might get left behind. She said, Pa, I have my little horn. I'll keep it in my back pocket. Old Blue, he's the lead hound dog. If I get lost, I'll just blow on that horn. He's going to hear that signal. He'll show me the way home. I said, well, I guess we can try it. So off they went together. Well, all of a sudden, Father saw a big bear. He started moving quickly. Everybody started quicker and quicker. He started chasing that bear faster and faster and faster. And the little girl, she tried, but she couldn't keep up. And she got further and further and further and further behind till she was by herself out in the woods. And it started getting a little dark. And so she took out that horn that she brought and she played it. Oh Blue, where are you? And all she could hear was an old hoot owl sitting in a tree. It went, so she blew the horn again. Oh Blue, where are you? But all she could hear was that owl. Off in the distance, she started hearing something. It's getting closer and closer and closer. and there was Old Blue, the lead hound dog, had come back to bring her home. Now listen to hound dog's heavy bass sounding high over the way, all night long till the break of dawn. And merrily the chase goes on over the mountain, the hills, and the fountain, way to chase away. Now old Trickety on the trail. Oh, Bugle boys got out smart old dog. Down the holler. Now look, dog's got that bear treat. Listen to me. Oh, way, way, bound for the mountain, bound for the mountain, bound for the mountain, over the hills and the fields and the fountain, way to chase away.
That brings back so many memories, especially as a kid, because we would sit there and we would just tell stories and we would sing songs. So that was so much fun.
Oh, yeah.
That just brings that. I was like a little kid. I was just like listening.
Hearing our howl.
Yeah.
Have you howled before on the show?
No, I don't think I have.
On your broadcast?
I don't think so. I don't think I've ever howled. Have I ever howled? I don't think so.
No. Well, does any of your listeners have any questions?
Yes, actually, what's your favorite instrument?
My favorite instrument is the banjo. The banjo has been with me since and changed my life. You know, it gave me confidence. It gave me a purpose, and it's always been with me. It's one of those things that if you come to our house up in Vermont, You'll see me on the couch, and my banjo is right next to me.
Yep.
All the time.
Yep. Yep. So, and also you just had surgery. So
Mhm.
he actually had rotator cuff surgery.
That's
So
right.
this is like big.
This is
Big.
big.
He's
Yeah.
probably, this is the most you've played, right?
Yeah, this tour has been. I'm here, part of a artist in residence program from the Stetson Kennedy Foundation in Beluthahatchee, up there near Jacksonville.
Okay.
Now, Beluthahatchee is a special place. Woody Guthrie, who wrote "This Land Is Your Land." He lived there for a short time, and he wrote 80 songs there.
Wow.
And Stetson Kennedy was a civil rights activist, and he wrote many books. He was a folklorist, and they turned his house into a national landmark for authors to come and stay and to play music. And so I'm going to be doing a special concert on Sunday for the foundation.
Mhm.
So it's a big honor, and it's so beautiful out there. You know, I have all those cypress trees that are in the water. And when you look out, a magical place. And so that's why I'm here. And you know, I was thinking about a song that's important these days. I'm going to see if I can. I think I'm in the right key. Um, that Woody Guthrie wrote years ago. So Woody Guthrie, of course. Don't worry, we banjo players tune all the time.
Mariana said that along with your other instruments on the couch, sometimes it's hard to find a place to sit.
She could tell you that.
She did. She wrote it. Look, she said that there's all the instruments. It's hard to find a place to sit. So just saying, lots of instruments.
That's right. And the dog is on my chair.
That's it.
Dolina.
Dolina's on his chair.
So this is a song that Woody Guthrie wrote. Now, Woody Guthrie was an author, singer, and he was writing songs of the things that were going around him, and he was part of the Dust Bowl migrants, that they lost everything out in Oklahoma when the big dust storms came. And he was able to put into words what people were thinking. And they called him a Shakespeare in overalls.
Okay.
Writing songs with the voice of the common people. And this song here, I ain't got no home, I'm just a rambling round, I'm just a wandering worker, I go from town to town. Police make it hard wherever I'm around, and I ain't got no home in this world anymore. I was farming on the shares, and I was always poor. My crops I did lay upon my banker's door. That banker kicked me out, my wife died on the floor, and I ain't got no home in this world anymore. I ain't got no home, I'm just a rambling around, I'm just a wandering worker, I go from town to town. Police make it hard wherever I'm around, and I ain't got no home in this world anymore. My brothers and my sisters, they're stranded on that road. It's a hard and dusty road where 1,000,000 feet have tried. The banker took my home, kicked me from my door, and I ain't got no home in this world anymore. I ain't got no home, I'm just a rambling around, I'm just a wandering worker, I go town to town. Police make it hard wherever I'm around, and I ain't got no home in this world anymore. Now I've been around this country, and it's mighty plain to see. This wide, wicked world, it's a funny old place to be. The gambling man is rich, while the working man is poor. And I ain't got no home in this world anymore. Sing it with me now. I ain't got no home, I'm just a rambling around. I'm just a wandering worker, I go from town to town. Police make it hard wherever I'm around. And I ain't got no home in this world anymore.
Okay, I think that that's a beautiful segue to leave this world to go to the other. So you know where I'm going.
Yeah, so I get my guitar here.
Well, get that guitar. Go get that guitar.
Now, I haven't sung this song in a while, so I hope I remember it.
You'll remember it.
I'll remember it.
You wrote it for Dad.
Yeah, people have been liking the fact that my guitar has a big heart on it, doesn't it?
Well, there's a reason.
You know?
Because hearts follow me.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, I have hearts follow me all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, thank you, Kay Roney. That's so sweet. Thank you, guys. Hi, Stacks and Foxhole, Kay Roney, and everybody else. And Mars here too. She's watching.
Yeah, so like I said, I haven't sung this song in a while, so I remember all the words. But what happened was we talked about earlier when I sang the song for my dad that things changed.
Yep.
He had this problem with dyslexia, and he decided that he was going to fight it.
Mm-hmm.
And so he started learning how to read again. And I think he said the first thing that he read was the Bible, right?
He started reading the Bible. Yeah.
Now that's not an easy thing to do.
No.
Even for any of us.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so he kind of probably stumbled through it, but it changed his life. And you could talk about that.
Okay, so my dad, he spoke in tongues before I spoke in tongues, and it was interesting because oh shoot, I'm gonna cry. My dad, because him and I, we were so much on the. Oh no, Rebecca, we're gonna have to pray for Rebecca. So my dad, he was a Christian just like me, and we were able to discuss things about God and also healing. So we're gonna just pray for Rebecca real quick because she just broke her finger. So Lord, we just thank you. We thank you for Rebecca, Lord, and I ask you, Father, just to go and just to we just speak to that finger. We just say, just for those bones to come back into a proper place. We just break off all pain and all kinds of swelling right now in the name of Jesus. We just apply the balm of Gilead. We just break off all trauma. We just thank you. We thank you, Papa, that you have your angels wrapping around her right now. Your presence is with her. We just thank you. We just thank you, Lord. We just thank you for the healing in Jesus' name. And that's kind of the thing with my dad. When my mother was in the house fire, we would pray for my mom. So we would talk about God and God things. And he was my biggest cheerleader. He was so excited. He was so excited that I was out and I was ministering and I was having conferences, and that I had a broadcast where I was talking about God. And every time I would call him, he's like, tell me what God is doing. Tell me what God is doing. And so he, let's put it this way, his heart was to be everything that God called him to be, but the limitations of the things that he had gone through, it was really difficult for him to do all those things. And so one of the things that he asked Rick, he said, well, Rick, he said, well, I'll let you tell it.
Well, he said that I had given him a copy of my book, an earlier book that I wrote,
Mhm.
and he said, I think I understand you, son, for the first time. And he said, I'm going to give you a songwriting challenge. And I said, all right, Dad, that's pretty good. And he said, I'm going to give you a songwriting challenge. I want you to write a song for me for my Christmas present. And I said, well, that sounds good. And he said, but it has to be a religious song.
Mhm.
That's a tall order. I mean, because as a songwriter, when you write songs, some songs turn out pretty good and some songs are okay. But you don't want to write a bad religious song,
Yeah.
that nobody wants to hear or wish that you didn't write it. So I accepted the challenge.
Yep.
And, it was about November. It was getting close. And my wife, Mariana, said, well, how's that song coming that you wrote for your dad? I said, well, I haven't really written it yet.
Mhm.
And I said, I didn't really know how to get going on the song. And then there was a show on TV was talking about Johnny Cash. And they were talking about Johnny Cash and his brother Jack and that horrible, horrible sawmill accident that took his life.
Mhm.
And while he was, struggling to stay alive, he couldn't hardly talk. But the thing that he did say to his mama, he says, "Mama, I hear the angels singing." So I started writing. The angels all be singing. The trumpet, will the angels all be singing? Will the trumpets all be ringing? Will the pearly gates be swinging when you reach God's golden shore? All your friends and neighbors. No, I can't remember it.
Yes, you can.
Okay.
I'm praying. You need to
Yeah,
pray.
I know it's gonna be tough.
Come on, you got this, Rick.
Yeah.
You got this.
I can't remember it.
Yes, you can.
Well, all your friends and neighbors. No. Jump for joy and jubilation. Will you finally find salvation when you reach God's golden shore? When you reach God's golden shore. When you reach God's golden shore. Will you live in paradise when you knock on heaven's door? Spirit flows right through you. We shout out hallelujah. Will your soul live on forever when you reach God's golden shore? Try the chorus at least.
Okay.
When you reach God's golden shore, when you reach God's golden shore, will you live in paradise when you knock on heaven's door? When the Spirit flows right through you. When you shout out hallelujah, will your soul live on forever when you reach God's golden shore? Will you meet your sister and brother, your father and your mother, and so many others when you reach God's golden shore? Will all your friends and neighbors be living with the Savior, never more to toil or labor when you reach God's golden shore? When you reach God's golden shore, when you reach God's golden shore, will you live in paradise when you knock on heaven's door? When the Spirit flows right through you, will you shout out hallelujah? Will your soul live on forever when you reach God's golden shore? Do that one again, Lisa. When you reach God's golden shore, when you reach God's golden shore, will you live in paradise when you knock on heaven's door? The Spirit flows right through you. Will you shout out hallelujah? Will your soul live on forever when you reach God's golden shore? Johnny always did that modulation. When you're in your final hours, for your rest and flowers, when you dream of ivory towers, when you reach God's golden shore, oh, I remember it.
Yes, you can.
Oh, I can't remember it.
Yeah, you can.
When you're in your final hours, for you rest in flowers, where you dream of how every tower's. Reach God's golden shore, then listen what I'm saying. Read your Bible and start praying, and you'll never be forsaken when you reach God's golden shore. When you reach God's golden shore, when you reach God's golden shore, you will live in paradise when you knock on heaven's door. When the Spirit flows right through you, you can shout out hallelujah, where your soul will live forever when you reach God's golden shore. When you reach God's golden shore, when you reach God's golden shore, you will live in paradise when you knock on heaven's door. When the Spirit flows right through you, you can shout out hallelujah, where your soul live on forever when you reach God's golden shore. Sorry, folks. I messed up.
That was awesome. That was awesome. This has been fun.
Yeah. It has been. It has been. And, we don't get a chance to see each other that often. This is the first time that I actually been out on the road since the pandemic. So it's really a special time for me to get out there and to share music again with everybody. And I hope that you folks have, enjoyed this and that the music has touched you in a way that make your day a little bit brighter.
Oh, this has been fun. So this is the fun part. We've never actually had you play music on any of my podcasts.
No?
Oh.
Mm-mm.
We talked about being storytellers.
Yeah.
But I've never had you actually. You've never actually played. Never the whole thing.
Yeah.
The only thing that's missing is the what's it called? Keironi. How old were you when you wrote that?
What was that?
When you wrote God's Golden Shore.
Oh, that was
what, like 10 years ago?
Yeah, about 10 years ago.
About 10 years ago.
And I don't sing it all the time,
Yeah.
But it's a good song that I should sing again. If you liked it, folks, I hope you liked it.
Yeah, they did. They actually they really enjoyed it. They want to know if you have a CD. So if they go to banjo.net, which is his website.
Right. Yeah. Then I can send out a signed CD.
Oh, signed CD.
Signed CDs, or I can send out also signed books.
Signed books if you go there.
Mm-hmm.
So you guys can go do that. And
yeah.
And unlike me, he actually goes to the post office.
Yes, I do. I do go to the post office. A lot.
Banjo.net.
Yeah.
So if you go to banjo.net.
But it's better if they want to get something to just email me.
Okay.
Rick, RIK@banjo.net.
So, or Rick@banjo.net.
Yeah. Because sometimes the websites are crazy.
Yeah. So you can go to Rick@banjo.net, RIK.
Do they want to hear a funny song?
Yes, of course. We'll do that.
I will end with this song.
We're going to end with this.
A fun, funny song.
Okay.
Not serious. This is not a serious song.
Are you going to do 55?
Yeah.
Or,
yeah.
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 This is good.
Yeah, but remember, this is all in jest. What happened was I wrote this. I was turning 50, and I thought that I would do what any 50-year-old would do, is I'd call somebody older than me. So I called my friend in England, Tony, who was my road manager in England, and I was teasing him because he was going to turn 60 at that time, and I said, "Boy, Tony, you're getting old, aren't you?" And he goes, "Oh man, I'm not old. I'm still riding my Harley Davidson motorcycle. In fact, I just got a patch for the back of my jacket. It says, 'Too old to die young.'"
There you go. There you
Too
go.
old to die young. Just too old to die young. And so I said, man, that's a great kind of a line for a songwriter. And he said, well, can you write a song about it? I said, well, I can try. Now, the first time that this song ever was broadcast was on NPR. They had that fun show, Car Talk, where the guys talk about their cars. They played this song. And I was in Nashville at the time when I heard it, so it was really funny. I'm driving down the highway looking for a little thrill, racing with my friends in my Pontiac Bonneville. Don't wear a seatbelt, don't give a damn. Driving into Nashville from Alabama. The young folks say you're having too much fun, but I'm just too old to still die young. 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 I'm a hillbilly rebel yelling son of a gun, and I'm just too old to still die young. I love my Harley, still love my whiskey. Life ain't worth living if you're not being risky. Don't eat quiche, man, I ain't no sissy. Sleeping in a boxcar from Maine to Mississippi. The young folks say you're having too much fun, but I'm just too old to still die young. 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 I'm a hillbilly rebel yelling son of a gun, and I'm just too old to still die young. I wake up when the sun rises, eat lots of French fries, work like a damn fool, yell if I want to, move like a Jaguar, run like a NASCAR, drink like an old clown, sleep when I fall down. Young folks say I'm having too much fun, just too old to still die young. 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 I'm a hillbilly rebel yelling son of a gun, and I'm just too old to still die young. Say the good, die too soon, but I'm still here shooting the moon. There may be snow on the top of my head, but I ain't laying down till it finds me dead. Oh no! I'm driving down the highway looking for a little thrill, racing with my friends in my Pontiac Bonneville. Don't wear my seatbelt, don't give a damn. Driving into Nashville from Alabama. Young folks say you're having too much fun, but I'm just too old to still die young. 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 I'm a hillbilly rebel yelling son of a gun, and I'm just too old to still die young. I'm a hillbilly rebel yelling son of a gun, and I'm just too old to still die young.
Where's the kaboom? There was supposed to be an earth-shattering kaboom.
That was so much fun. I hope you guys had fun doing this. This was so much fun for us.
Yeah, I just wish I would have remembered the words.
That's you were good. You were good. Hey,
It's Wabi Sabi.
That's
Perfectly imperfect.
It's perfectly imperfect. And that's exactly what we're going to leave you with, is just be you. Be perfectly imperfect, because actually you're perfect just the way that you are. So have a fantastic weekend. Go have fun. Reach out to your family, because family is important, right?
All right.
All right. Play us out.
Play it out. Oh,
come on.
What am I going to play?
I don't know.
Oh, let's see. Well, Irene, good night.
Yeah.
Irene, good night. Good night, Irene. Good night, Irene. I'll see you in my dreams. Now, the song was written by Hughie Ledbetter. Years ago. And Pete Seeger and the Weavers, they had a big hit with this song.
Yep.
It was on the B-side. It wasn't even the real side. Some DJ got smart and played the other side of the record. And this song, as Pete would say, back in 1950, you couldn't turn on the radio without hearing it. And he said one time he walked into a place and said, "Can't you stop that thing? I've heard that song 10 times today." Well, the best time that I've ever sang this song, we were doing a tribute concert to my mentor, Pete Seeger, at Lincoln Center, Lisa. It was beautiful. And Fred Hellerman, one of the original Weavers, was up on stage. And that was the first time I got a chance to meet him. Well, sometimes I live in the country. Sometimes I live in the town. Sometimes I get the great notion to jump in the river and drown. Help us now. Well, Irene, good night. Irene, good night. Good night, Irene. Good night, Irene. I'll see you in my dreams. Stop your rambling. Stop your gambling. Stop staying out late at night. Go home to your wife and family. Stay there by the fireside bright. You can sing with me. Irene, good night.
So low.
Irene, good night. Good night, Irene. Good night, Irene. I'll see you in my dreams. She taught me to weep. She taught me to mourn. Taught me to leave my dear home. But the very last words I heard her, honey, sing me just one more song. Irene, good night. Irene, good night. Good night, Irene. Good night, Irene. I'll see you in my dreams. Goodbye, folks.